Coming up, impeachment trials for President Trump officially begin. And later, a pair of Democratic candidates continue their trek around the state.
While the rest of us were on break, Hawkeye Basketball never stopped. More for you in just a few.
It's the first week of classes, and I'll do my best to make sure you're prepared for the weather we'll be having this week. It's going to be a cold one, friends. Stay tuned for more.
All that and more coming up on this Wednesday morning edition of DITV News. Don't go anywhere. DITV starts right now. Good morning and thank you for tuning in. I'm Emily Callahan. Impeachment trials for President Donald Trump officially began last evening. During the trial, 3 Democratic subpoena documents were not approved by the Senate on a vote of 53 to 47. The White House rejected all requests about records from the House investigators during their questioning. Senator Mitch McConnell is trying to propose a resolution to the other senators seeking an immediate trial. However, Democrats, including Senate Minority Leader Charles Schumer, despise his proposal, proclaiming it is a part of the Trump administration's effort to cover up Trump's dealings. President Trump is only the 3rd president in U.S. history to be impeached, joining only Andrew Johnson and Bill Clinton. You can stick with DITV for further updates as this story develops. As we approach the caucuses in the next couple weeks, many Democratic voters are planning on bringing their kids to the caucuses. We have Daily Iowan managing editor Sarah Watson live in the newsroom with more. Sarah, what is going on with these kids in caucuses?
Yeah, so there are, in the dozens of events that we've covered this caucus cycle, we have seen a lot of parents bringing their kids armed with coloring books, toys, and other ways to keep their young kids entertained as they wait for hours sometimes for these candidates to arrive. And so we asked if they planned to bring them to the caucuses, and they do. Iowa parents are planning to bring their kids to the caucuses and are starting to make a plan and are starting to formulate why they want to bring their kids to the caucuses. And a lot of the reason that parents want to caucus in the first place, even though sometimes in-person caucusing takes as long as an hour, they want to evaluate the candidates based on their policies that will affect their child's future. And so there are accommodations that can be applied for the Iowa caucuses if you are wanting childcare. Iowa City caucus organizer John Deeth directed everyone to the Iowa Democratic Party website if they want to apply for a child care accommodation.
Thank you so much, Sarah. That was managing editor Sarah Watson live in the newsroom. Now, it's been pretty chilly these last couple of weeks, and I think it's going to stay that way. But Olivia has more in the weather studio.
Thanks, Emily. I hope you all have your winter coats today because you'll be needing them. This morning, we're going to start off at a brisk 28 degrees with some light flurries and cloudy skies. And throughout the day, we can expect the temperature to rise to a nice and warm high of 34 degrees. In the evening, you can see some heavy snow and temperatures in the mid to low 30s. Looking ahead of the week, we can see that temperatures remain consistently in the mid 30s. On Thursday, we can anticipate a high of 35 with an 80% chance of snow. Friday, we have a high of 36 with a 60% chance of, you guessed it, more snow, leading up to a cloudy weekend with a high of 36 on Saturday and 35 on Sunday. I'm sorry for the sad news, friends, but it looks like snow and clouds are here to stay. Back to you, Emily.
Thanks, Olivia. Another 2020 Democratic candidate, Pete Buttigieg, stopped in Iowa yesterday when he visited the Muscatine Town Hall. Buttigieg discussed hate speech, health care, increasing wages, and answered questions for the over 250 residents that came by. He also went in-depth on how he would plan on changing the disability and welfare program. In fact, Buttigieg praised Iowa Congressman Dave Loebsack for taking such action.
Dave and his colleagues have passed legislation to raise wages, to deal with the cost of prescription drugs, to do things to keep our communities safe from gun violence. Unfortunately, that legislation is sitting in the Senate, waiting for action. And what would make all the difference in the world, besides, of course, a better Senate, would be presidential leadership focused on getting these things done, and that's what I'm here to offer.
Iowa caucuses take place on February 3rd, and many candidates will continue their trek through the state of Iowa to make their final impression on residents. One of those candidates, former Vice President Joe Biden, held a 2020 presidential rally down in Ames, Iowa at the Gateway Hotel and Conference Center. Biden told his crowd of 200 supporters that he plans to heal the divided country that Trump is breaking apart. He also focused on his climate change plan called Clean Energy Revolution. He says it will create high-quality, middle-class jobs and achieve a 100% clean energy economy by 2050. Supporters at the rally said Biden would be the best-suited nominee for the Democratic candidacy due to his experience in the Senate and the Oval Office. Now, while Biden might be experienced in the White House, we all know the Hawks are the most experienced on the court. Tiana has more about basketball in the sports studio.
Stop for the Hawkeye men's basketball team, who had 7 games over winter break, with 4 of them against Big Ten teams. We have DITV sports director Cade Overton in the newsroom to talk about the results. Cade, how did the Hawks do over break?
Yeah, Tiana, last time we saw the Hawks, they were beating up on Iowa State. And since that game, well, it's pretty much the same. The Hawks are 5-2 in that stretch. There are only 2 losses coming against those Big Ten teams, Penn State and Nebraska. The Hawks are ranked 19th right now. And early in the season, after an early loss to DePaul, everyone wasn't sure where this Hawkeye team was at. But now it's pretty much safe to say these Hawks are a tournament team, and we will see them in March. And they've really been doing great. It's going to be interesting to see what they do down the stretch in Big Ten play, though.
The standout from the team has obviously been Luka Garza, who has been putting up Player of the Year-like numbers. Do you think Garza will be able to keep up his pace?
Yeah, you mentioned it. Garza has been averaging about 23 points and 10 rebounds, and he's been getting National Player of the Year talk, which to Hawkeye fans might not seem surprising because he has been that consistent piece. But around the country, a lot of people probably weren't expecting to hear a Hawkeye name in those with the National Player of the Year award, but Garza's been great, and I do think he's going to maintain these averages throughout the year, mainly for 2 reasons. He's the hardest working player on the court. Usually on either team, he's been working hard ever since he got here as a freshman, and Fran McCaffrey just loves everything about his hard work. And another reason why I think it's going to last is because, well, the Hawks need him to. He's been the main consistent part of the team, and if he doesn't maintain these numbers, the Hawks are going to plummet hard. So I do think Garza is going to be maintaining these averages throughout the rest of the year.
And finally, we have another Big Ten team coming to Carver tonight, with Iowa squaring up against Rutgers in a top 25 matchup. Do you think the Hawks are up to the challenge?
Yes, I think any game in the Big Ten is tough, but it's even harder to win on the road in the Big Ten. Rutgers traveling all the way from New Jersey here to Iowa City. It's going to be tough for them already, and I know players like Garza and Wieskamp are going to just feed off of that crowd that the Carver fans will bring. I think the Hawkeyes do end up getting this win, but like I said, the Big Ten is really tough, and after this Rutgers game, they've got 2 more ranked games right around the corner, so we'll see if the Hawkeyes can close this one out tonight and get some momentum going into those future games.
Thanks, Cade. Iowa tips off tonight at 8 in Carver Hawkeye Arena. Moving over to women's basketball, head coach Lisa Bluder is a front-runner for Big Ten Coach of the Year. Last season, Bluder led the team to an Elite 8 appearance in the NCAA tournament, and this was expected to be a down year after losing star player Megan Gustafson. But the women's team has risen above expectations, winning their past 6 games in a row and being ranked number 19 in the nation. Bluder has the most wins in history for Iowa women's basketball and then has already won Big Ten Coach of the Year 3 times in 2001, 2008, and 2010. The Hawks face off against Ohio State on Thursday at Carver. That wraps it up for me in the sports studio today. Make sure to check back tomorrow to see how the men competed in their game against Rutgers. Emily, back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Tiana. Major League Baseball announced their 2020 Hall of Fame inductees yesterday. Yankee great Derek Jeter swung his way into the Cooperstown with the 2nd highest percentage in the history of the Hall of Fame, behind only former teammate Mariano Rivera. However, joining him is Larry Walker. While Walker is inducted as a Rocky, he is known around the Midwest for his major contribution to the 2004 St. Louis Cardinals National League pennant team. Walker hit for an average of .313 for his career and rocketed 383 homers. That's all we have for you on this Wednesday morning edition of DITV News. Be sure to head over to thedailyiowan.com for all your latest news between Monday and Friday. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great day, Iowa City.